Okay, so we're going to try this. Going to have to do this in a few parts. I don't have the software or anything as far as linking all the different videos together, so we'll just do it in different parts. But anyway, this is the deer barbecue. I've had a couple of you ask me about fixing the barbecue sandwiches, the pulled pork style, or i.e. shredded deer meat style. So all we're going to do is a little bit of trimming and cleaning, and what you need to trim off and what you can leave on. So I've already got the stove starting to heat up here. I've got it just on a medium low heat. We're going to use just a dry pan, and what we're going to do is we want to pan sear the meat, and we'll take it through in the different steps. But to start out with, we're going to start with a dry pan. Now if I was using cast iron, not my kitchen, not my pots, so I'm using what I have. But this is just a non-stick pan, so we're going to leave it like it is, no oil, because we do want to pan sear it. And what we're going to do is we're going to caramelize the meat, and then we'll add a little bit of liquid back to it after it boils the natural water off in the meat. Then we'll add a little bit of water to take the brown and the caramelization off the bottom of the pan, and then we'll continue to cook it down. Now, unlike a pulled pork, where you basically, everybody cooks the pork, smokes the pork, barbecues the pork on the grill, whatever, and then takes the forks and pulls it apart. This is not per se a pulled meat sandwich. We're going to cook this till it naturally falls apart on its own, and then we're going to sauce it. So to start with, let me just get into my meat over here. I think I got a big enough cutting board, I can just lay it all out. So I did go hunting this morning to no avail, but I did manage to stick a piece of barbed wire, buried it up deep as it'd go, all the way in my hand, so I'm going to try to keep that out of the meat. Also, I don't have my knife sharpener here, my honing stone. I could use the moon stick, but that'd take me about 30 minutes, so I'm not going to worry about that. So I'm just going to run this with a dull knife. Again, this is barbecue, ain't got to be perfect. All we're doing is getting the parts off and learning what parts you can leave on and what parts you have to take off. Main thing is your silver skin. As y'all, if you've ever fooled a venison before, you got the silver skin. That needs to come off because of the taste. Fat, you can trim it off, you can leave it on. What I'm using here, this is actually shank portion. That piece is actually off a sirloin. When I did the jerky the last time, I jerked an entire ham, and this was just cut pieces off. The reason I use this type of meat, especially like the shank, as you can see, unfortunately I don't want to drip on the floor, but you can see all this silver skin, all these tendons and everything is layered in there, and it's just, you really can't trim all that up. Well, you can trim it off if you want to make stew meat, you can trim it off to fry or whatever, but it's just a load of aggravation. So that's the reason I saved this for my barbecue instead of using my clean meat for barbecue, because what'll happen once we trim the silver off, it doesn't matter if you've got tendons in here. The tendons, they're just going to cook up. They'll actually turn to jelly, basically. It doesn't have a bad flavor. In fact, the tendons and everything, when they cook up into the jelly, it will give it a lightly sweeter taste. It just cooks up into a sweet jelly. So to start with, we're just going to separate this out. I've already got my pan heating up again, since I'm using a non-stick pan. Don't want to get it too hot. You do want to pan sear it, but if y'all know anything about Teflon, never get your Teflon pots hot without anything in them, because it will start vaporizing that Teflon off. So I'm on a medium-low heat. I'm between 4 and 5 right now. Pan's just now starting to get warm, so I'm going to start getting some meat in here. So just to get some in there, I'm going to take the least trashy piece and start with it. So again, the silver skin. Sorry I can't get over closer to the camera without dripping all over the floor, but y'all can see. Well, here, maybe I can do this. But this is what you want to take off. Also, depending on how stringy you want it, how long the strands you want. If, of course, this piece is already, this will be cut and cross grain. But say you're using sirloin. Sirloin's another one of those things. I usually put the sirloin in for a roast. And again, this is part of a sirloin, but it has the tendons running lengthways through it. So you can cut it in shorter pieces, or you can let it string. Again, personal preference. So the only thing I'm going to take off as far as taste-wise will be the silver stuff. And any of this, like you see here, mucosal like stuff, we're just simply going to trim it off. Again, I'm using a dull knife, so I'm going to get a little trash bowl since she took my trash bag out. I'll just throw that over there. Oops. I am doing, after this, we're going to do a video on actually boning out an entire hind quarter. But I hate glass cutting boards as far as trying to slice across. I'm using the glass on this because I don't plan on having to cross cut it. So that's not going to dull my knife blade. Plus that'll keep me from having to disinfect the wood board. So that's the reason I'm using this. But you got two ways of doing this. You can turn it over. This piece I'm not going to be able to normally, like this piece for example. I would simply turn upside down, get just a little bit of start right here, lay my knife blade down flat. Again, this is sliding all over this glass cutting board. So I'm just going to do that. Again, it doesn't have to be pretty for barbecue, so since I'm on the glass, I'm simply going to slide my knife in under it. Keep slight upward pressure. Don't like turn it up and cut through the tough portion, but just a little slight upward pressure, and what that does, that will let your knife run along that. Sorry, get my hands in the way. And it will peel that off without taking a lot of your lean meat with it. Or lay it down sideways. If you're really good, take a knife blade, lay it down flat, and just trim it off. I'm also, again, trying to keep my knife blade off of the glass board. Slide it under. Again, helps when you have a nice sharp knife. Now this is hind fat. There's two different fats on the deer. One of them you can render if you want to make your taller, if you want to make your lard type, or your other, it's going to have a real taller flavor. But this is off the hind, so I'm going to leave just a little meat on there. Excuse me, a little bit of fat on there. Just to flavor it just a little. Okay, now that I want to trim off. Yeah, and the main thing you really want to get off is going to be this silver skin, because that will give it a gamey taste. And as I said, it's a little bloodshot portion. That's where she went down the hill. Try to keep my blade off the glass. When you're using cuts like this, as we'll see in just a minute, the whole purpose for doing it this way, you're going to pan sear it. There's no use in picking all this stuff out, because what's going to happen when we cook this, it's going to naturally shred all on its own. So then what you do before you put your sauce in is you simply pick out all those pieces and you're left with nothing but lean. So I'll start pan searing. Since I'm on a glass cutting board, I'm not going to be able to lay that down and slide my blade under it, so I'll have to do it this way. Now that I've got enough, without cutting my finger, I can lay it down and slide it right on off. And sorry about the glare on the lights, but you get this nice pretty meat. Throw it in. Anything left on here, I'll just hit it again. So when we get into the shank portions here, as you can see, we have the silver, so that we just want to kind of take off. You don't have to get it all in one fell swoop. But I will show you after we take the silver off what this looks like underneath. Now this is the silver skin on the outside, but this is actually where your tendons are running. That will come out as you cook it, and that will not flavor your meat. In the bottom piece, and I'll just run it like this. Yeah, helps if you have a sharp knife, but nice pretty color on that. Of course the camera doesn't do it justice. Get a little bit right there. Take that off. But again, all these tough portions running through here, that'll just peel right out whenever you get it all fully cooked. If I was running on a wood board, on a plastic board, I'd just lay that blade down. And I've quit sizzling, so now that I have enough meat in there to keep the pan from boiling off the Teflon, I can turn it up and let her start cooking. So there's going to be a lot of water in this at first, and I'll show that in just a minute. What we want to do is we want to cook this until the water boils off. What that's going to do is, one, it's going to start tenderizing it. But then when the water boils off, we're going to pan sear it and actually lightly burn it. This is where you really have to keep an eye on it. We're actually going to lightly burn it to a brown burn stage. That's going to caramelize the meat, and that's going to give it that really nice flavor. Always keep a cup of water on hand when you get to that stage though, because if it starts sticking and it starts burning, you want to be able to throw your water in. And also when you put the water in, after it dries out, that's going to bring all that caramelization off the bottom of the pan and really flavor that meat. Wish I had my kitchen and my plastic cutting board. Okay. A little piece of silver there, but this is just a little bit of fat on this. So we'll go ahead and throw that in there. Fat ain't gonna hurt nothing. Again, this is what most people consider trash meat by most people's standards. It's just because they don't want to fool with trimming it. Now it trims out to really pretty stew meat. But again, like this, it's a little mucosal layer. You just want to trim that off. But I'm going to leave a little fat on that. And again, camera lighting doesn't work to show you the color, but this is just pretty lean meat. Alright, so we got that in. So I'll wash my hands. Maybe I can do this without having a catastrophe. So basically, again, what I did is I had to, battery was dead on the cell phone, so I got the cell phone rubber banded to the little crappy tripod. This is my tripod for my tabletop spotting scope tripod. Then we had to Velcro the crappy extension cord to the tripod because my cord going from the extension cord to the phone isn't long enough. And anyhow, we just kind of bubbled everything up. But what you'll get when you start, I don't drop my phone in it, is, as you can see, it's starting to boil the water out. So I'm going to leave this on about medium, or I can turn it up to medium-high heat, but as you see, it's starting to boil. Matter of fact, let me just take your stupid camera off here. I won't lose you doing this.